And in what French President Emmanuel Macron says is in response to the dire humanitarian situation in Gaza, France has become the first G7 country and biggest EU member to say it will formally recognize Palestinian statehood. So far, around 140 countries have done so, but most Western states have not, saying that Israel and the Palestinians need to come to an agreement first.
Tens of thousands dead, warnings of mass starvation. International pressure on Israel is mounting. Now France has pressed forward and said it will recognize a Palestinian state.
Consistent with its historic commitment to a just and lasting peace in the Middle East, I have decided that France will recognize the state of Palestine. I will make this solemn announcement before the United Nations General Assembly this coming September.
As a permanent member of the UN Security Council, France is the most powerful European nation to date to announce such a move. In the West Bank city of Ramallah, Palestinians reacted with praise.
France's recognition of the Palestinian state is a moral commitment from France. It's a state of freedom and a state that advocates for the rule of law as well as its adherence to international law.
Recognizing the state of Palestine is an important and good thing, and it goes in the right direction. However, we need to impose sanctions on Israel and put significant pressure on the Israeli government so that it stops the genocide in Gaza, stops the ethnic cleansing in the West Bank, and halts settlement activity.
Israel has denied accusations of ethnic cleansing or genocide, and Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu posted on X that a Palestinian state in these conditions would be a launchpad to annihilate Israel. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio called the move reckless and said it would only serve Hamas propaganda and would set back peace. Following France's announcement, Germany said it has no plans to recognize a Palestinian state in the short term, while calling on Israel to, quote, immediately and drastically improve the catastrophic humanitarian situation in Gaza. The German government sees the recognition of Palestinian statehood as one of the final steps on the path to a two-state solution.
Well, as we heard earlier there, the leaders of France, Britain and Germany have issued a statement on Gaza, and our chief political editor, Michaela Küfner, knows what's in it. Michaela, what was the outcome of that meeting and what's in that joint statement?
Well, certainly there's no reference to the recognition of Palestinian statehood, but as you already briefly read out, there clearly is a statement on the humanitarian catastrophe, as it is called, that everybody is witnessing in Gaza, that it must end right now, that the E3 countries, Britain, France and Germany, firmly oppose all efforts to impose Israeli sovereignty over the occupied territories. So clearly this goes a bit further than the acute humanitarian situation that we're seeing on the ground in Gaza. It is a wholesale criticism of Israel's policy towards increasing its presence potentially in Gaza, but also in the West Bank, where we see almost daily the intimidation and suffering of Palestinians who live there, land grabs by Israeli settlers who are not living there in accordance with international law. It is a violation of international law that these settlements are actually in place, and similar plans are clearly on the table for the government of Benjamin Netanyahu, the Israeli Prime Minister. So this is really an attempt not just to signal that a red line has been crossed in humanitarian terms, but also that increasingly Israel's partners and these E3 countries are pushing back on Israel's potential plans for the future, particularly that Israel, and particularly Benjamin Netanyahu, seems to have given up on the whole concept of the two-state solution.
So no mention of Palestinian statehood, but Macron's initiative caused quite a stir. What is the German position on recognizing Palestine as an independent state?
there's a very different take here. This is clearly also motivated by domestic politics. France, of course, a country with many people with Muslim backgrounds, also Palestinian backgrounds in the country. At the same time, it shows a very different approach. France sees this as a way to get a new potential process of talks going. Germany sees the Palestinian statehood, the recognition, as the outcome of talks between the two sides, but they clearly don't see anywhere on the cards at the moment.
As Chief Political Editor Michaela Küfner. Thanks so much, Michaela.
And Thibaut Madelin is a journalist at the newspaper Les Echos in Paris and used to split his time between Berlin and Paris. Thibaut, besides the current situation in the Middle East and the terrible plight of the people in Gaza, what has prompted Macron to recognize Palestinian statehood now?
Well, it's been in the process for some months now. He announced already in April that he will do that at some stage, and that he will do it even in June with a conference with Saudi Arabia. This had been cancelled because of the military actions between Israel and Iran. And now it's coming to the forefront because I think he's seeing there is no chance for a serious peace process, which Benjamin Netanyahu doesn't really accept. Considering this issue where we are now, is saying, well, okay, we will do it in September, and it's a way, I think, also to put France in the forefront for a diplomatic rally, I think.
But does he have any domestic reasons as well?
Well, surely. I mean, it always plays a role, obviously. He's been under pressure from the left-wing parties, in the first place from Jean-Luc Mélenchon, the far-left leader, who has been very strong critic of Israel. But I think also it's a way to respond to a new strategy of the Rassemblement National.
That's the right-wing
populist party, which under its founder, Jean-Marie Le Pen, was actually openly anti-Semitic. And his daughter, Marine Le Pen, changed this policy, making the party actually a very strong ally of Israel in the last few months. And now that's the politics of Benjamin Netanyahu is criticized from left and right mainstream parties. Macron is, I think, trying to take advantage of that within France.
Now, he's definitely the first Western leader to sort of step out of this tacit agreement that two-state solution first, then statehood for the Palestinians. Does he create a rift here with people like Mr. Merz and Mr. Starmer?
Well, we'll see. They're talking right this afternoon. We'll see what comes out of this. But surely there are differences between France and Germany on that issue. For Germany, the security of Israel is a state of reason, and which isn't the same for France. But we've been quite aligned on this issue, nevertheless, over the last years. Now, he's obviously taking the lead. We'll see how Merz reacts. Well, now he has reacted, saying they don't follow suit now. But he's also under pressure. We should see that as well. And Starmer is also under pressure within his own party, the Labour Party. So I think Macron is definitely betting on the UK and other countries like Canada to follow him in September. Whether Germany does it, it's another question.
True. Now, Macron cannot become, his term runs out in 2 years, I believe. He cannot be president again, at least not for a consecutive term. Is he also positioning himself for the future as a peacemaker?
Well, I think Macron is quite young, so definitely, and is ambitious. So definitely, he wants to play a role in the future, and it will be a political role, I think. Whether that could be running for presidency in 2032, as he enigmatically implied lately, or whether it would be for international positions. That remains to be seen. But there's one more thing which he might want to do, is leave a mark in the history of France as being the French leader putting that on the agenda.
Thank you very much, Thibaut Madelin, journalist at the Les Echos newspaper.